For years, I lived dependent on pills. Every morning, the first thing I did was check my pressure and swallow one more capsule. I felt like a patient, not like a person. Sometimes I wondered whether that would be forever, whether my life would be reduced to controlling symptoms without understanding what caused them. Until one day, in a routine appointment, my doctor told me something unexpected. He looked at me calmly and said, "There is something else you can do. Something so simple it will seem unbelievable. But it works if you do it right." I thought he would talk about another medication, perhaps a new therapy. But no. He talked to me about food, about one fruit in particular. At first, I did not believe him. How could something so common have such a powerful effect on my health? But I decided to try. What did I have to lose? What happened next changed the way I understand blood pressure. It was not a magic change nor immediate, but it was real. Week after week, I began to notice my body responding. My pressure, which used to be high all the time, began to stabilize. I felt more energy, fewer dizzy spells, greater mental clarity. That is why I'm here today, telling you this, because no one had told me before, and I believe that you, like me, deserve to know. Today, I want to share with you how a simple fruit, taken in just the right amount, can help you lower your pressure naturally. I will tell you what fruit it is, how you should consume it, for how long, what precautions to take, and above all, why it works. It is not magic, it is science, but very few people know it, and I want you to be one of them. Now then, before we begin, I would love to get to know you. Tell me in the comments, how many years old are you, and from what place in the world are you watching this video? What is hypertension, and why is it so dangerous? Approximately 3,800 characters. Hypertension is a word you hear a lot, but very few people truly understand it. To put it simply, it is when blood travels through our arteries with too much force. That constant pressure, that uncontrolled push, slowly wears down the inside of our body. It is as if water were hitting the walls of a pipe too hard every day. At first it holds, but over time, it breaks. In our case, the human body does not give clear signs that something is wrong. That is why many call it the silent killer. You can have high pressure for years without feeling anything. No pain, no dizziness, no warning. Until one day, something serious happens. A stroke, a heart attack, or kidney damage. And then, it is already too late. Hypertension is especially common in older people. Why? Because as time passes, our arteries become less flexible. Salt builds up, the heart works harder, and many of the habits we had for decades end up taking a toll. Eating a lot of salt, living with stress, not moving enough, all of that adds up. In my case, I started hearing the word hypertension at 65 years old. At that moment, I did not take it seriously. It must be an age thing, I thought. They prescribed me a pill, and I went on with my life as if nothing had happened. But at 73, my best friend from a lifetime, Mr. Julian, had a stroke in the middle of the morning while he was having his coffee. He stood up to get the sugar and dropped flat on the floor. He spent several days in the hospital. He survived, but he was never the same again. The doctors told him that high pressure, which he had gone years without controlling properly, had weakened his blood vessels. The damage was done. That was my turning point. I realized I was playing with fire, that it was not enough to take a pill and forget about the issue, because that pill was not a cure. It was just a patch, and my lifestyle stayed the same. According to the World Health Organization, more than 1,200,000,000 people in the world suffer from hypertension. And the most serious part, most do not know it, or they do not take it seriously. And it is that many times we believe that if it does not hurt, it is not urgent. But high pressure works in silence, every day, all the time. It does not rest, it does not warn, it just acts. And if we do not stop it, the moment comes when there is no way back. But here comes the most important part of all this. Because yes, hypertension is dangerous. Yes, it can shorten your life or leave you with lifelong consequences. But it is also true that not everything is lost, because what no one had told me is that food can also heal. Yes, just as for years I ate things that harmed my body without knowing it, there are also foods that can help you heal it. And one of them is a fruit. A delicious, common fruit, easy to find, and tremendously powerful for helping you control your pressure naturally. Do you want to know which one it is? I will tell you in the next part. Why can fruits help you lower your pressure? Approximately 3,800 characters. For a long time, I believed that the only thing that could help me with my pressure was pills. Every morning, I opened my medicine cabinet, took my dose, drank a sip of water, and went on with my day. But I had never stopped to think about what I put on my plate. Until one day, I heard a phrase that shook me. Let your food be your medicine, and your medicine be your food. That was when I began to investigate, and I discovered something that surprised me. There are certain foods that have a direct impact on our blood pressure, and within that group, fruits occupy a privileged place. But why? What do fruits have that makes them so special for the heart? First, potassium. This mineral is a true natural regulator of pressure. How does it work? Potassium helps counteract the negative effects of sodium, which is the main enemy when we talk about hypertension. When we eat a lot of sodium, meaning a lot of salt, the body retains water and pressure goes up. But if we increase potassium, that excess sodium is eliminated through urine and the pressure begins to drop. It is as if you opened a relief valve. Second, antioxidants. Fruits are full of tiny substances that protect our arteries from aging. They are called flavonoids, polyphenols, anthocyanins. Difficult names, yes, but powerful effects. These substances help keep blood vessels elastic and healthy, which allows blood to flow normally without exerting so much pressure. Third, fiber. Although we sometimes underestimate it, fiber is a quiet ally of our health. It helps reduce cholesterol, improves digestion, and regulates blood sugar. All of this directly influences the cardiovascular system. And last but not least, water. Many fruits have a very high water content. This not only helps keep us hydrated, but also promotes circulation and prevents the blood from thickening, which makes the heart work less. Now one might think, so if I eat fruit, do I no longer need medications? The answer is more complex. Medications are necessary in many cases and should not be discontinued without medical supervision. But foods can be a powerful tool to reduce the dose, prevent pressure from climbing higher, and in some cases, help stabilize it at healthy levels. In fact, there is a famous diet that many doctors recommend for people with high pressure. It is called DASH, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. And what is this diet based on? The same thing we are talking about here: more fruits, more vegetables, less salt, fewer processed fats. Science backs it up. Several studies have shown that people who eat fruit frequently, at least 3 servings a day, have a lower risk of suffering from hypertension and heart disease. And here is where the most interesting part comes in. Because although all fruits have benefits, there is one that stands out above the rest. A fruit that, because of its special composition, has drawn the attention of researchers, nutritionists, and doctors around the world. A fruit you might be overlooking, and that can change your health if you consume it the right way. Revelation. What is the magic fruit? At this point in the video, you may be thinking of several fruits that are always mentioned when we talk about heart health. And it is true. There are many that can help you keep your pressure in check. The banana, for example, is famous for its high potassium content. The kiwi, with its tangy flavor and soft texture, also has cardiovascular benefits. Watermelon, sweet and juicy, helps hydrate you and contains citrulline, which can favor the dilation of blood vessels. Even apples and pears, so common, have their place in a diet for high pressure. But among all those options, there is a fruit that shines with its own light. One that many people overlook. One that seems simple, but hides extraordinary power. And that fruit is the blueberry. Yes, the small, round, dark blue one. The blueberry is, in my experience, and according to several scientific studies, one of the most potent fruits for helping to control blood pressure naturally. But do not be fooled by its size. Inside each blueberry is a unique combination of antioxidants, especially anthocyanins, which have proven to be incredibly effective for improving the health of blood vessels, reducing inflammation, and promoting a smoother blood flow. The fascinating thing about blueberries is that they not only help reduce pressure, but also protect the heart overall. They help reduce bad cholesterol, improve the function of the arterial lining, and can have a mild natural diuretic effect, which helps reduce the load on the circulatory system. Now then, how much do you need to eat to see real results? 2 cups a day. That is the amount used in several studies that showed significant improvements in blood pressure after a few weeks. It is not about trying a handful one day and forgetting the rest of the week. The key is consistency. 2 cups daily, every day. I started with just 1 cup to try. And after the first week, I did not notice much. But starting in the second, I began to feel subtle changes. I felt less tired. I slept better. And my heart no longer beat with that irregular force that used to scare me. After the first month, I went back to the doctor. They measured my pressure. It was not a miracle, but it was a surprise. My readings had dropped notably, and the best part of all, without needing to increase my medication. Of course, I kept taking care of other aspects of my life. I walked every day, I avoided excess salt, and I slept better. But I am convinced that blueberries made the difference, because when something so small, so easy to get, has that effect on your health, you cannot let it pass you by. Now then, you may be thinking, what if I cannot get fresh blueberries every day? What if they are expensive? In the next part, I will tell you exactly how to incorporate them into your diet in a simple, economical way without getting bored. Because eating healthily does not have to be complicated or monotonous. What happens in your body when you eat 2 cups a day? When I started eating 2 cups of blueberries a day, I did it with doubts. I did not expect miracles. I thought it would be like everything natural, slow, perhaps imperceptible. But what I noticed was something else. A change that was not immediate, but was inevitable. Let me explain what happens inside your body when you make this fruit a daily habit. First, blood flow improves. Blueberries contain compounds called anthocyanins, which help relax the walls of blood vessels. This allows blood to circulate more easily, with less resistance. It is as if the arteries, which were tense and rigid before, became more elastic, more pliable. That reduces the pressure blood exerts as it passes through. Second, sodium in your body is reduced. Thanks to their mild natural diuretic effect, blueberries help eliminate excess sodium through urine. It is not that they make you go to the bathroom more often, but that they allow your body to rid itself of accumulated salt, which in turn decreases the volume of circulating blood and therefore lowers pressure. Third, the arteries dilate. Yes, literally. Studies have shown that people who consume blueberries regularly show an improvement in endothelial function. That means the lining of the blood vessels responds better, allowing a slight dilation that helps reduce overall pressure. Now then, that sounds very technical, but how does it feel in real life? I will tell you in simple words. You feel less dizzy. You sleep better. Your head does not pound when you climb stairs. Your hands and feet no longer get cold so often. And above all, you feel that you recover something that seemed lost: energy. Because when pressure is balanced, your body no longer has to struggle so hard to function. Everything flows more smoothly. I will tell you something that moved me. A few months ago, I shared this tip with Rose, a friend from the neighborhood walking group. Rose is 78 years old and was always skeptical of everything natural. But one day she said to me, "Look, I have nothing to lose. The medications are not helping me like before." She started eating blueberries every morning, mixed with plain yogurt. In the 3rd week, she called me excited. "I do not know if it is the blueberries, but I feel lighter." And this week, for the first time in months, my pressure came out fine without needing to double the dose. What she told me next stuck with me. It is not a pill. It is a fruit. But I feel that inside, something is settling back into place. And that is exactly what I want to convey to you. It is not immediate, but it is inevitable. Your body responds. The important thing is to give it the chance. Give it time. Be consistent. Because just as we spent decades neglecting certain habits, now it is time to care, to heal, to restore inner harmony. How do you integrate it into your daily routine without getting bored? Now that you know everything blueberries can do for you, here comes the most important part. How do you incorporate them into your life practically, without getting tired of them and without complications? Because let us be honest, we do not want to eat the same thing every day. No matter how good something is for us, if it feels boring or repetitive, we quit. That is why here I will share several ways to include your 2 cups of blueberries a day, without feeling like you are making an effort. First option, the morning smoothie. One of the easiest and most delicious ways to consume blueberries is in a smoothie. You can use a handful of blueberries, half a banana, a bit of plain unsweetened yogurt, and a splash of water or plant milk. Blend everything, and in less than 5 minutes you have a powerful breakfast, refreshing and easy to digest. You can even add a teaspoon of oats or chia to give it more body and fiber. Second option, as part of breakfast. If you already have a morning routine, just add the blueberries. For example, if you eat whole grain bread with fresh cheese, accompany it with a small bowl of fresh blueberries on the side. If you prefer cereal, add them on top. And if you have yogurt or ricotta for breakfast, even better. Blueberries mix perfectly and also give it a natural sweet touch with no need for added sugar. Third option, salads with a different twist. It seems strange at first, but blueberries combine very well with certain salads. Try greens, a few walnuts or almonds, a small piece of fresh cheese, and a handful of blueberries. They add freshness and a unique flavor. It is a good way to turn an ordinary lunch into a plate full of life. Fourth option, frozen as dessert. Is it hard for you to give up sweets after meals? Then try this. Put 2 cups of blueberries in a small bag and place them in the freezer. After a few hours, they become little frozen balls, like candies. They are sweet, cold, delicious, and healthy. Perfect for those moments when you want something tasty without falling into added sugar. Fifth option, as an infusion or natural juice. Another simple way is to boil a cup of blueberries in water for 10 minutes. Then strain the liquid and drink it as a warm infusion. You can do it at night before bed. It is not only relaxing, but it keeps the benefit going without needing to eat them whole every time. Now then, it is important that you know exactly how much 2 cups is. Many people are left with doubts. That is why I recommend having a kitchen measuring cup. It is not expensive, and it gives you the peace of mind of knowing that you are consuming the right amount. 2 cups equal about 300 grams approximately. If you use small blueberries, it is easy to go over without realizing it, or fall short. And one more tip. If you decide to mix blueberries with other ingredients, such as yogurts, juices, or cereals, avoid those with added sugar. The goal is to help your body, not overload it with sweets disguised as healthy. Always read the labels, or if you can, choose natural or homemade versions. The key is consistency, but also enjoyment. Eating well does not have to be boring. In fact, the more you enjoy it, the easier it will be to turn it into a routine. And with these ideas, there is no excuse to miss out on the benefits this fruit has to offer. And if you do not like the taste? Options and substitutes. I know what you are thinking. All well and good with blueberries, but I do not like them. And believe me, I understand. Not everything that is good for us suits our taste. Sometimes healthy things have a strong, tart flavor, or simply different from what we have eaten our whole lives. In the case of blueberries, their flavor can be a bit tart for some people, especially if they are used to very sweet fruits like mango or banana. But the good news is that there are simple tricks to soften that taste without taking away their benefits. First, mix them. Blueberries do not have to be eaten alone. You can combine them with plain yogurt, cooked oats, or plant milk. Even a teaspoon of natural honey, not white sugar, can help balance their tartness. When you mix them with other mild or creamy foods, the flavor becomes friendlier to the palate, softer, more acceptable. One way I use most is to prepare a kind of breakfast cream: oats cooked in water, a splash of plant milk, half a mashed banana, and on top, a handful of blueberries. It is not only healthy, it is truly tasty, and if you eat it warm, it is comforting, especially on those cold days when your body asks for something warm. Second, freeze them. Yes, just as you hear. When blueberries are cold, their tartness diminishes. Freezing them for a few hours not only turns them into a kind of refreshing snack, but also subtly changes the flavor. You can eat them as dessert, or even blend them with a bit of water and turn them into a light, delicious juice. Third, cook them. Have you tried cooking blueberries? Just put them over low heat with a splash of water and let them soften. They turn into a sort of natural compote, ideal for spreading on whole grain bread or pairing with a piece of low-salt cheese. When you cook them, the tartness is reduced and the flavor becomes softer and sweeter. The important thing is not to add extra sugar so you do not lose the benefits. But even with all this, you might still not enjoy their taste. And in that case, I understand. Because not all bodies are the same, nor do all tastes allow for everything. But here is where something even more important comes in: intention. Because it is not only about taste, it is about health, about habit, about taking control of your body. And as my grandmother used to say, sometimes what is hardest for you is exactly what you need most. Now then, if for some reason you cannot get blueberries where you live, or if the price is too high, there are other fruits that can help you too. Here are some pomegranate, rich in antioxidants, especially polyphenols. Its juice has been shown to reduce blood pressure in several studies. Banana, very high in potassium, ideal for counteracting sodium and relaxing blood vessels. Watermelon contains citrulline, which favors arterial dilation and improves blood flow. Prunes, yes, the traditional kind. They contain antioxidant compounds that support cardiovascular health. Dark or purple grapes, especially with the skin. They are rich in resveratrol, a powerful protector of the heart. The important thing is that you do not give up. If you cannot handle one, try another. If a taste bothers you, find a way to adapt it. But do not let it pass you by, because the body does not wait, and the time that seems small today, tomorrow can mark the difference between a limited life and a life with quality. What do the most recent medical studies say? By this point in the video, you may be asking yourself, and this blueberry thing, does it really work? Or is it just one more fad? It is completely normal to have doubts. There is too much information on the internet, too many promises that sound good but lack substance. That is why today, I will not speak only from my experience, or from what worked for me, or for my neighbor Rose. Today, I will speak from what scientific studies say. And yes, there is serious evidence, reviewed by physicians and published in respected journals. The first study I want to tell you about was published in a scientific journal of the American Heart Association, one of the most recognized institutions in the world for cardiovascular health. In this study, a group of researchers worked with people between 50 and 70 years old, all with elevated blood pressure. Half the group was given 1 cup of blueberries a day for 8 weeks. The other half received a placebo, that is, a substance without effect, like colored juice but without properties. The result? After only 2 months, the people who ate blueberries daily saw significant reductions in their systolic and diastolic pressure. To put it more clearly, their pressure went down. And not only that, blood tests also showed that endothelial function improved, meaning the inner lining of the blood vessels worked better, more flexibly, and with less inflammation. The second study comes from the University of East Anglia in England and was published in the specialty journal Journal of Gerontology. In this case, the researchers analyzed more than 100 older adults at risk for heart disease. The group that consumed blueberries, approximately 1.5 cups a day, over 6 months, showed improvements in several markers: lower blood pressure, better circulation, and reduced arterial stiffness. One of the researchers of the study explained it in a very simple phrase. Incorporating blueberries into the diet could reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease by 20%. It was not a salesperson. It was not an influencer. It was a doctor of clinical nutrition. And here is where I want to pause for a moment, because many times we think that only medications can have a real effect, that everything natural is slow or weak. But when science supports a food, when there are serious studies behind it, then we are no longer talking about a hallway tip. We are talking about prevention with evidence. It does not mean you must stop your medicines, nor that blueberries replace medical treatments, but it does mean they can be a powerful tool, a natural complement that strengthens your health from within and helps you keep control. Now then, what exactly gives blueberries so much power? According to these studies, the secret lies in anthocyanins. They are natural compounds that give the fruit its dark blue color, but beyond the color, they act as antioxidants, fighting inflammation, helping relax arteries, and promoting better circulation. And the best part is that you do not need gigantic doses or long treatments. Just 1 or 2 cups a day, every day. A small gesture, a simple habit, that over time can become a natural barrier against hypertension. So now you know. I am not the one saying it. Science says it. And if you still have doubts, in the next part we will talk about important precautions, when to avoid these foods, what effects they could have if you have certain conditions, and how to do it safely. When should you not consume it? Important precautions. So far we have talked about the enormous benefits blueberries can have for your blood pressure. But it is also important to tell the whole truth, because like any food or natural remedy, it is not for everyone, nor can it be consumed carelessly. And I want to make something very clear from the start. Fruit helps, but it does not replace the doctor. This video is not a medical prescription. It is a guide, a help, an inspiration. But if you are taking medications or have specific health conditions, you must consult your physician before making major changes. Now yes, here are the main precautions. First, if you are taking anticoagulants. Blueberries contain vitamin K, which is an important vitamin for blood clotting. If you are taking medications like warfarin or acinocumarol, which are used to thin the blood and prevent clots, you must be very careful with foods rich in vitamin K because they can interfere with the effect of the medication. It does not mean you must avoid them completely, but you do have to keep a consistent intake and talk with your doctor to adjust the dose if necessary. Suddenly changing your amount of vitamin K can alter your coagulation. Second, if you are allergic to red berries or salicylates. Although it is not common, there are people who are allergic to forest fruits like strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, and also blueberries. Symptoms can include itching in the mouth, swelling, difficulty breathing, or even intestinal discomfort. If you have ever noticed any strange reaction after eating this type of fruit, avoid blueberries until a doctor confirms you can consume them safely. Third, if you have diabetes. Although blueberries have a low glycemic index, meaning they do not spike blood sugar abruptly, they do contain fructose, which is a type of natural sugar. Although they are much safer than a dessert or a sweet, it is important to control portions. The recommendation is that the 2 cups a day be spread out or combined with proteins or fibers to avoid glucose spikes. And of course, they should never replace your diabetes medications or stand in for main meals. Fourth, if you already take medications for blood pressure. This is essential. If you are medicated with pills such as losartan, enalapril, amlodipine or others, and you start consuming blueberries regularly, it is possible that your pressure drops more than expected. This is not always bad, but it can cause symptoms like dizziness, weakness, or fatigue. That is why it is essential that you keep measuring your pressure regularly and talk with your doctor if you notice changes. He or she will decide whether the medication dose needs to be adjusted. Fifth, if you take supplements or herbal remedies. Many older adults combine medications with natural supplements like garlic, ginger, ginkgo biloba, or even omega-3 capsules. Some of these also have anticoagulant or vasodilator effects. When you mix everything together, even if they are natural products, there can be a sum of effects that causes discomfort or unexpected reactions. And finally, something very important. Never stop a medical treatment without your doctor's consent. The most common mistake is to think, since this is natural, it is surely better than the pills. But that thought can be dangerous. Fruits help, yes. They are powerful, yes. But they do not cure by themselves. They are one more pillar within a healthy lifestyle. It is not about one thing or the other, but about adding the best of both worlds. And if any professional discourages you by saying that nothing natural works, remember, modern medicine increasingly recognizes the power of foods, but always with balance, prudence, and common sense. What else can you do besides eating this fruit? Approximately 3,800 characters. Eating 2 cups of blueberries a day can do a lot for your pressure. But if you truly want to feel a transformation in your body, in your energy, and in your overall health, there are more things you can do. Fruit is a tool, a push, an ally. But it is not everything. And if you pair it with other simple habits, your pressure will not only go down, your whole life can improve. Here are some of the most important changes you can start today without needing to spend money or depend on anyone. First, drink more water. It seems obvious, but many older people do not drink enough water during the day. Mild dehydration is very common after 60 because as time goes by, we lose a bit of the sensation of thirst. And when the body does not receive enough water, the blood becomes thicker and the heart has to work harder to pump it. Over time, that raises pressure. Try to drink at least 6 to 8 small glasses a day. Plain water, without gas, without sugar. You can do it with small sips each hour, and if it does not go down easily, add a slice of lemon or a few mint leaves to give it a mild flavor. The change in your body, in your digestion, and in your energy will be noticeable in a few days. Second, walk every day. You do not need to run. You do not need to go to a gym. You just need to move your body a little every day. Walking for 20 to 30 minutes daily, even at a slow pace, helps strengthen the heart, improves circulation, and lowers blood pressure. It is a way of telling your body, I am still alive. I am still strong. I remember Mary, a friend from the book club. She is 76 years old and had suffered from hypertension for more than a decade. She started eating blueberries every morning, but it was not until she added 20-minute daily walks that she noticed a big difference. Today, her pressure is stable, and the best part, she feels more upbeat, lighter, eager to go out and do things. The body responds to movement, and when you combine fruit plus walking, the results are amplified. Third, reduce salt and processed foods. You can eat the best fruit in the world, but if at every meal you add instant soups, cold cuts, salty bread or canned foods, all that effort is lost. Salt is one of the greatest silent enemies of high pressure. It is in everything, even in foods that do not seem salty. Cookies, cereals, cheeses, preserves. A simple rule: what does not need a fridge to keep probably has a lot of salt. Start little by little. Replace salt with natural spices like oregano, turmeric, black pepper or lemon juice. Avoid concentrated bouillon cubes and cook with fresh ingredients. Your palate adapts. Your pressure does too. Fourth, sleep well. Sleeping well is not a luxury, it is a necessity. People who sleep poorly, fewer than 6 hours per night or with many interruptions, tend to have more episodes of high pressure, more anxiety, more inflammation in the body. Look for a relaxing bedtime routine, a light dinner, dim lights, no screens, and perhaps a warm herbal tea. Going to bed and getting up at the same time helps your body settle into a healthy rhythm. And when the body rests, pressure goes down. The important thing is not to overwhelm yourself. You do not have to change everything at once. Just start with one thing. Maybe today you decide to drink more water. Tomorrow, go out for a few minutes walk. The day after, skip the salt at breakfast. And little by little, your body will respond. Because when you team up with your body, it pays you back. And when you combine all these habits with a fruit as powerful as blueberries, the result is not just lower pressure. It is a life with more calm, more health, and more years with well-being. Blood pressure myths. You must forget now. The most dangerous thing is not what we do not know, but what we believe is true and is not. Especially in health, there are ideas that get repeated without proof, and they harm us. These are the most common myths about blood pressure. Myth 1. It is normal to have high pressure after 70. False. Although arteries become stiffer with age, that does not justify consistently elevated pressure. Ideal pressure should not go over 130/80. Readings of 150 to 160 or more are not normal. They are signs that something needs attention. Myth 2. It is only controlled with medications. Medications are necessary when pressure is very high, but it does not end there. Studies show that changes in diet, exercise, rest, stress control, and blueberry consumption can reduce pressure naturally. The combination of medical treatments and healthy habits is more effective than just taking pills. Myth 3. Since it does not hurt, it is not serious. This is the most dangerous mistake. High pressure is the silent killer. It does not hurt or bother you. Many people live for years without knowing it until an emergency arrives: stroke, heart attack, or kidney failure. Check your pressure weekly. A 2-minute habit can gift you years. Myth 4. My pressure has always been like this. It does not matter if you have lived decades with high readings. Every year with high pressure accelerates the wear on your organs and increases risks. It is never too late to improve. Blueberries, daily walks, better sleep, less salt, more water. It all adds up. The simple solution: 2 cups of blueberries a day. You do not need special recipes or impossible routines. Blueberries can be the beginning of a chain of good things: better sleep, more energy, a sense of control. It is not just about lowering numbers. It is about living with less fear and more vitality. Start with something small. 1 cup of blueberries, a short walk, 1 more glass of water. Your body, even with years behind it, still wants to take care of you if you do too. 2 cups a day. Every day. That simple. You do not need a special prescription nor an impossible routine. You do not have to make great sacrifices or spend a fortune. Just make one small decision and sustain it with self-love. For years I believed the only way out was the pill, that the old body no longer changed. But I learned that the body does change. It changes if you care for it. It changes if you listen to it. It changes if you feed it as it deserves. Blueberries came into my life as an experiment and stayed as a habit. They did not cure everything, of course, but they were the beginning of a chain of good things. I slept better. I walked more. I felt stronger. And little by little, I felt I had control again. That is the most valuable part. It is not just about lowering a number on the blood pressure monitor. It is about living with less fear, with more energy, with the feeling that you can still do a lot for yourself. So if there is something you can change today to live better tomorrow, it is this. Start with something small. 1 cup of blueberries, a short walk, 1 more glass of water, and let that gesture remind you that you deserve to take care of yourself. Because you still have time, you still have life, and your body, even with years on it, still wants to take care of you, if you do too. And now tell me, did you already know about this fruit? Do you eat it often? Leave me a comment with your age and where you are watching this video from. I love to know from which corners of the world we are sharing these tips. And if you know someone who is struggling with their pressure, share this video. It can be that small push that changes their life.